When the Venus of one person conjuncts the Sun of another in Synastry, especially in the sign of Pisces, it creates a deeply empathetic and often idealized connection. Here's an analysis of the behavioral differences and experiences that can arise. Venus conjunct Sun in Pisces Synastry, behavioral differences and experiences. Core dynamics of Sun-Venus conjunction. Mutual admiration and attraction. This is a hallmark of Sun-Venus conjunctions. The Sun person embodies qualities that the Venus person finds deeply attractive and values. The Venus person, in turn, makes the Sun person feel loved, appreciated, and often enhances their self-expression. Harmonious flow. Generally, this is a harmonious aspect. The Sun's ego and sense of self align well with Venus's desire for connection, beauty, and pleasure. Shared values. There's often a natural understanding of each other's values, tastes, and what brings them joy. Specific influence of Pisces. Pisces is a water sign ruled by Neptune, and Jupiter traditionally, known for its compassion, intuition, idealism, and sometimes a tendency towards escapism or blurring boundaries. When Sun and Venus conjunct in Pisces and Synastry, these qualities are amplified. Behavioral differences and potential challenges. Idealism versus reality. Venus person. The Venus person may highly idealize the Sun person, seeing them through rose-colored glasses. They might project their fantasies onto the Sun person, overlooking flaws or inconvenient truths. Sun person. The Sun person might enjoy being idealized, but can also feel the pressure to live up to an unrealistic image. They may struggle with the Venus person's tendency to avoid confrontation or difficult realities. Differences. The Venus person might be more prone to wishful thinking and avoiding direct conflict, while the Sun person, though possibly empathetic, might eventually crave more groundedness. This can lead to the Venus person feeling unappreciated if the Sun person doesn't acknowledge their efforts in the idealized way they hope for, or resorting to passive-aggressive behavior. Boundaries and empathy. Venus person, highly empathetic and compassionate, the Venus person may absorb the Sun person's emotions and struggles, sometimes to their own detriment. They might have weak personal boundaries when it comes to the Sun person. Sun person. The Sun person might initially appreciate the deep understanding and acceptance from the Venus person. However, they may also struggle with the Venus person's lack of boundaries, or their emotional fluctuations if they are not equally self-aware. Differences. The Venus person might prioritize emotional connection and sacrifice for the Sun person, while the Sun person, while appreciating it, might need more defined boundaries or personal space, leading to misunderstandings about giving and taking. Sensitivity and escapism. Venus person can be extremely sensitive to the Sun person's moods and energy. They might withdraw or resort to escapist behaviors, e.g., daydreaming, artistic pursuits, or less healthy habits, if the relationship becomes too harsh or unfulfilling. Sun person. The Sun person's actions and words can have a profound impact on the sensitive Venus person. They might not always realize the depth of the Venus person's emotional reactions. Differences. The Venus person's emotional responses might seem exaggerated or indirect to the Sun person, who might prefer a more direct approach to problems. The Sun person might also become frustrated if the Venus person avoids difficult conversations or retreats into their own world. Practicality versus spirituality/creativity. Venus person, often drawn to spiritual, artistic, or mystical aspects of life. They may prioritize emotional connection and shared dreams over practical matters. Sun person. While also influenced by Pisces, the Sun person's core identity might still strive for some form of personal expression or purpose that the Venus person's idealism can inspire. However, they might also be the one who needs to ground the relationship in reality. Differences. The Venus person might struggle with the mundane aspects of life, while the Sun person may need to provide the structure or practical direction. This can be a source of frustration if not balanced. Shared experiences and strengths. Despite potential differences, the Venus conjunct Sun in Pisces Synastry is often characterized by deep soul connection, a feeling of having met a soulmate or someone who truly understands them on a profound, unspoken level. Unconditional love. Potentially the Piscean influence can foster a sense of compassionate, forgiving, and almost unconditional love, especially from the Venus person. Romantic and dreamy atmosphere. The relationship can feel magical, romantic, and highly imaginative. There's a shared appreciation for beauty, art, and emotional depth. Mutual inspiration. The Sun person can inspire Venus to express their creativity and compassion, while Venus can soften and sensitize the Sun person's ego, encouraging them to be more empathetic. Healing potential. The empathetic nature of Pisces can create a space for deep healing and understanding of past wounds. Navigating the differences. For this synastry aspect to flourish, both partners need to be aware of the Piscean tendencies. For the Sun person, practice patience and empathy. Recognize the Venus person's sensitivity and need for emotional validation. Encourage their creative and spiritual pursuits, but also gently help them stay grounded. For the Venus person, work on establishing healthy boundaries and communicating needs directly rather than passively or through indirect means. Strive for a balance between idealism and practical reality in the relationship. Both, cultivate clear communication to avoid misunderstandings arising from Piscean vagueness. Embrace the deep emotional bond and shared dreams, but also acknowledge and address practicalities and individual needs. In essence, the Venus conjunct Sun in Pisces synastry offers a deeply loving, empathetic, and often magical connection, but it requires conscious effort to navigate the potential for idealization, blurred boundaries, and a tendency to avoid difficult realities. When managed well, it can be a truly soulful and inspiring bond.